Emma. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking a little bit about the Six of Crows, which is like a sub-series of the Grisha trilogy. I recently read it and this like redeemed the entire Grishaverse for me because I have this severe hatred against Shadow and Bone. Also, everyone say hello to Ella. She's our guest for the week, and this also is probably going to be a bit of a shorter video because this is the weekend before finals for me. So I'm just going to get this video done real quick and hopefully get it up on Sunday as usual. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. All right, so right off the bat, Six of Crows is a heist novel. So this is a heist novel set in a fantasy world, and it has 6 main characters, Six of Crows, and basically it's a like multiple perspective story, which I thought was really interesting because the original Shadow and Bone trilogy, like the Shadow and Bone, Ruin and Rising, so on and so forth, were just straight from Alina's perspective, and I didn't like Alina, so that was not my favorite. But this one has 6 different perspectives. So on the back it gives you like a little description, but I'm just gonna be going in the characters. There will probably be spoilers as I'll be talking about the plot, so if you haven't read it, I really recommend reading it. All right, here we go. So basically, one of our main characters is Kaz. Kaz is like the main dude of this gang. He's not necessarily the person in charge. There's like a, obviously like older man that really holds all the purse strings and stuff, but he's like the one that's on the ground doing the operations, keeping this gang afloat. And he's basically built this gang from like the ground up, like ever since he was a small boy. That's all we know about him at first, is that he just like is this ruthless, like he's I think 19, they're either like 19 or around 17, but basically they're like these kids, but he's just like cutthroat, like a very intense character. Like basically in this first scene, it's kind of like talking about his like, they go to this like thing to discuss the terms of like who owns this territory with a rival gang, and he brings like a bunch of he has like this team of people. One of them is Inej, who's another character we'll talk about later, and one of them is Jesper, who's also a character as well. But yeah, he goes into this thing and very cunningly gets out of it by threatening the other gang's person. So we already kind of know a bit about his character because he's just like ruthless, like literally will not hold back. He literally threatens to kill the guy's lover, you know, in order to get like what he wants from him, that he won't like go on his territory and stuff. This isn't really making much sense, but I'm doing my best. So basically the other characters, there's Inej, who's like this super duper, like she's just very sneaky. I know that sounds weird, but like that's basically like her entire thing, is that she like can sneak around places without being seen. She's super good at climbing. She just blends into the shadows. We learn a bit later that her background is that she came from like a sex trafficking ring. She was like kidnapped as a child, and then like Kaz bought her out of there and brought her into service for the gang, but he like paid her indenture, so basically then she doesn't have to like work at that sex trafficking place anymore. And then Jesper, the other one, is we don't really know too much about him yet, other than he's just kind of cheeky. Like he brings a little bit more lightness and fun into this otherwise very somber group, because Kaz is just crazy and Inej is just like, she's just chill. She's not as crazy as Kaz, that's for sure. No one is. But yeah, Jesper is basically like, he's a sharpshooter. He's really good at shooting, and he also has like a terrible gambling habit and alcohol habit that we don't really know that much about, but we just know that he's like, the way they kind of get to pay him off is by letting him like go gamble in the like houses that the gang runs, basically. So then we also have this, as Jesper and Inej are our 3 like main people that we start the story off with. We don't meet the other 3 at least until a bit later, but we kind of get introduced to the like where they're going to show up. So yeah, so basically they're doing this job and trying to get this other gang off their territory, and when doing this, like they run into these other people, and then Kaz, as they're like walking home from this victory, I believe, gets like kidnapped and brought into this person's house and offered this crazy deal for, I think it's like 20 million Krug, I think is the currency, or 30 million, to do this job and break this prisoner out of jail. And it's this prisoner who's in another country. I think, I forget what the other country is, but it's like up north, super Arctic. Like it's this ice prison is where they're trying to break him out of, but it's like basically unbreakable to get into, and they're trying to get this prisoner out because he is the manufacturer of this like illegal drug that enables like the powers of the Grisha, which are like the people with powers in this like world. That's basically what the first 3 books, they like center around Grisha and this one like really special one. But yeah, so none of our characters so far have powers though. So hold on, I'm looking at the map. Ketterdam and Kerch is where this takes place. So Ketterdam is like the city that this gang runs in, and Kerch is the country, and they're trying to get to Fjerda, Fjerda. And yeah, so here's like a graphic of the prison that they're trying to break in. It's like this whole circle thing. And so basically they've been offered this job to get this prisoner out, and this is like crazy money. This is enough money for Kaz to be able to make and run his own gang, the gambling guy, to pay off all his debts. And Inej, I think she doesn't really know what she's going to do with it, but she kind of like, her and Kaz are like linked at the hip. Jesper too, but her and Kaz especially, so they kind of just confide in each other, especially because Inej like goes and retrieves a lot of information for him. So basically, they're offered this deal, and it's like a crazy amount of money, and at first Kaz is like, no, but because it's so much money and it's just really something he can't afford to pass up, quite literally, he accepts. And so they, I believe, yes, so he goes out to get this other person that he's like, she can help us. So this is Nina. This is when we meet Nina. This is our fourth addition to the gang. So Nina is, she's a heartrender. She's a Grisha. So she's got like the powers and stuff. It's basically, hers are like physical, I believe, like she can stop someone's heart or something like that. And she can also, he finds her in this like practice that she does of like releasing certain emotions in people, like messing with their nerves or something like that. I don't know, but it's something to do with her power. And he's like, you owe me or something. I can't remember why. Like, you have to come help us, and then you can have this money. And she's like, I'll help you if you break this guy out of jail. Now, this is not the same jail that they're trying to break the prisoner out from. This is just a jail in Kerch where this friend of hers is in prison, and she's like, get him out. And I'll say, yes, he's from this country. He's from Fjerda, and he can help us do this heist. I'll only do it if you help get him out. And so Kaz is like, okay, because he wants Nina, because she's like the one that they have that actually has powers and stuff. And this guy could potentially help because he's from that country and used to like work as one of their authorities, like convicting Grisha, which is a little interesting considering Nina's a Grisha and is sticking up for him. But anyway, so they go to this prison and they're going to break this guy out. And he's like, Nina has clearly had some type of like past relationship with him. She has some investment in his freedom. Obviously, they're them freeing him. So they break him out, and yeah, he basically is like, no, I'm not going with you guys. I'm not betraying my country again. And he's like, Nina, you're a witch, because Fjerda has like basically very barbaric rules against Grisha. Like, they think they're like evil and they should like die or be sold into slavery. While Ravka, the original like country that the trilogy takes place in, is more like, they're in our upper class society. And in Kerch, it's kind of just like, they kind of just treat them not the best, but not the worst. Like, they're usually kind of slaves or something like that, but they can't necessarily not make it on their own, as Nina was kind of doing a little bit of her own thing before, even though I think it was still gang related. Anyway, so yeah, the guy that they break out of prison, Matthias, who's our 5th addition to the crew, is like, no, I'm not helping you. I hate this girl, and I'm not going to betray my country again because I already did that for her, and this is how it ended up. I ended up in prison, which, okay, like, understandable. And so they're like, you don't have a choice. And then they offer him, I think it's like freedom in some way, like to get back to his country and to excuse this felony that he's been accused of by Nina, I think we figure out, like, and so that it'll free him from jail and hopefully allow him to return back to his country. And he's like, okay, because the only thing he cares about at this point is like returning to this status quo he clearly had before, like going back to this country and just going home, because he's like, I've missed it. And so they've got everyone so far, but then they pick up another person who's our 6th person, and this is Wylan. He is the son of the person that offered Kaz this deal, because Kaz was like, how are we going to make sure you follow through on this? How are we going to make sure you give us our money and we're not just going to rescue this person and potentially die, but for nothing? And so the guy who makes the deal is like, have my son. And they're like, okay. So Wylan is the son, and he's like, just kind of, they're all like, oh, rich kid, like privileged rich kid, you can tag along if you want. And he's kind of like, whoa, they're literally killing everyone. Like, he's just not used to their gang life, as you would say. And so, yeah, so they all get on a boat, obviously, because it's like across an ocean, and they get the like boat process part is just like a bunch of relationships forming between the characters and like stuff that we figure out about them. But then eventually they get to Fjerda, and so basically they're trying to break into this prison. Obviously, Kaz comes up with this great master plan. I mean, I don't really want to say too much about it just because like that's literally the entire point of the book. But yeah, so they're breaking into this prison and they come up with this huge elaborate heist to get them in. And yes, they do get in, but then all this stuff goes wrong, stuff has to happen, character like exposition stuff happens, and Matthias, the guy, ends up like pulling a whole 180 and doing this like crazy betrayal, and Nina and all this stuff happens. I'm not really going to explain this part just because it's literally the climax, and even though I said there would be spoilers, really don't want to say the whole thing just because I severely encourage you to read the book. You really should. But yeah, so they perform this heist and they get home with not the guy, but the guy's son who knows like how to make this drug. They've been using him to try to make more of this drug, even though the original like guy they were trying to break out is already dead. So they bring him home and they're like, give us our money. And Wyland's dad is like, nah. But Kaz is like 10 steps ahead of him. So like he doesn't actually end up killing people, like because he tried to blow up their ship or something like that, I think. Yeah, so basically, sorry, my phone nearly died. Wyland's father is like, screw you, I don't care about my son. Turn of events, because that was like literally their guarantee for getting the money. And Kaz is like, give us the money. And he's like, okay, but you have to give us this kid. And by now they've kind of already realized how dangerous this drug is becoming because Nina had to take it and nearly died. And this kid that they're like exchanging for all this money could literally help like kill a bunch of other Grisha, and it's just like really cruel. Like it enables their power, but then they go through a serious withdrawal is like how the drug works. And so then when Kaz is like, no, we're not going to give you the kid, this whole fight ensues, and the end of the book is Inej getting taken. And Kaz and Inej have kind of been having a thing this whole book, so it's like this huge like and yeah, so that is the first book. Wonderful novel, great pacing. Hey Ella. It's literally so good. Like even if you don't like fantasy, it's just great characters, great world building. Oh, it's like perfect. And it totally redeemed the Grishaverse for me. I have been meaning to post my Shadow and Bone video forever. I filmed it on my phone. It's like 30 minutes, so it will be good content. But the issue is the video freezes like 8 minutes into it, and it's just me going like this while the audio keeps talking in the background. If anyone knows how to fix that for an iPhone, please let me know because I really want to post that video. I filmed it right after I finished, I think the last book, yeah, Ruin and Rising. I'm looking on the back because it's here. I filmed it right after I finished Ruin and Rising. It was like 12 at night and I was ranting and I was getting so angry about this book series. It's so funny. Maybe I'll just post it with the Frozen video so you can hear the audio, but you guys will have to let me know what you think. And if anyone knows a solution to that, please let me know. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Thank you so much. Bye.